no finer conditions for the start of Season 4 of the World Super Touring Car Championship here at Interlagos. And as you'll notice, it does look very familiar at the front, but expect the unexpected. Sabine Wittmann is on pole, chasing the number 1 slot again from Jamie Webber, who did the business in Season 3. And you'll see 8 familiar faces in that top 8 right there. But what we've discovered after media day, new tyre compound, a lot of teams and drivers have not managed to get race pace out of them, and that's going to see, well, we'll see what comes of it. Volvo have it all to do as well as a new slot. This is Adrian Michael Rees, and alongside me once again, um, in a much easier capacity for this time by, only having to look after driver management. Basically, it's Michael Swinnerton. Good afternoon.
Yeah, hello. It's kind of odd. I don't have a horse in this race anymore.
Your own horse.
No.
So yeah, we were discussing the whole what's going to happen. It is some source of encouragement that we do get to see um, it being slightly shuffled, but not a complete lottery for grid slots before the race. But we're still expecting it to be would you say we're expecting it to be a lottery as the lights go out?
I don't think so. I know this new tyre compound is mucked with people as Whitman gets a really good run off the line and Thompson gets mugged.
Rear wheel drive as well, they will get off the line quicker, and it's an Alpha 1-2 almost through the center S, but Sophia Schneider still preventing that from happening. Jamie Webber up to 5th. Duma, Privateer Alpha. If the front Alpha doing well, look at that one. That's up to 6th ahead of Palou and the Works Ford. We'll see the swarm now.
We got through there fairly clean. We're used to seeing people shove each other onto the AstroTurf there.
So what some of the drivers are still discovering is that they're not able to trail brake as well as they could. So still looks fairly clean so far. Well behaved, very well behaved, except for Polo into the back of Dumas there. There's Gasho's Renault. Slightly better looking start for them as opposed to the end of last season. On board with Gasho, he goes around Polo, but
he sent him wide. Polo with a huge slide.
I would say an almost big incident there, but Palou's recovered it very well indeed.
Oh, that's the beauty of front wheel drive there. All he had to do was stamp on the go pedal and keep the wheels straight, and the car would gather itself back up for him. But Gasho is now past.
And looks set to be getting Dumas' position by the time we get to the center S and the start of lap 2. The swarm there, it seems fairly well orchestrated so far, but the Golfs haven't had it all their way either. Volvo, we were kind of expecting to be down in amongst the privateers, but I think they're going to be our strugglers this season.
That was Palou with another huge slide. There was that tyre compound we were talking about. Palou just got on the brakes and the back end just came around on him. This is happening to quite a few of the front wheel drive cars.
Anthony Ingram's Volvo, first sighting of their presence on track and
pushing the Ford down the straight and squeezing his way through.
Palou wide again. Actually, Palou down to 11th, so Ingram 10th. Lama's still 9th.
God, it's a bit of a scrum back here. Ingram got the pass made on Palou, and here he goes. He's having a look on the Honda, backs out of it. He got the move done on the Ford, but got overtaken by the Honda, so he got 1 for 1 there. He's had a bit of a charge through the grid so far, desperate to try and get some points, and now he's in that all-important 10th place for finish, of course.
And that means Salo and Palou have... Well, Salo's managed to gain somewhat, because Nicky versus Suarez are there. Got ahead of them. And you can see Felix Rydell is also putting Volkswagen to shame in that Privateer Honda. New and improved Privateer Honda, of course. Same
the
one as
Tamiya
the
boys are kind
leaders.
of expecting big things out of that new car, considering what they've seen the Works FL5 Civics manage.
Sarlo's got a push now. Ingram had a fly a previous lap, but here comes the sophomore, rookie last season.
We don't quite know how well the Volvo's going to do down the straights compared to the, because we know the Golfs have got the best straight line speed and the Fords are close behind them. We're not sure how well these Volvos are going to stack up. Oh, that Sarlo had another big wiggle there, lost some time.
Renault advertising their pace with the fastest lap already after the first flying lap of the race. But it's Aiello in the other Renault.
There goes Gasho.
It's also, and that's Fisichella.
Yeah, hook, line,
Outmaneuvered,
sinker.
but
Fisichella
there's a
trying to go for the
switch back.
crossover. No, Gasho just says denied. Gasho already up to 4th. He started, what, 7th, 8th?
And Thompson ahead of Fisichella as well. Thompson managing to get something back after a poor start. And your top 6 starting to split away. So, new tyre, it's still a hard gauge on what's going to happen halfway through. We're so used to the almost bait and switch of having one driver floor it, only to sacrifice that in the last leg of the race, or those that were able to try and maintain some grip, not quite get there at the end. It's going to be hard to predict this one, but Gasho is gaining on Thompson already. What they didn't get in qualifying, they've certainly got this in the race now, as well as the slipstream.
Yeah, look at that. He's already having a go. I mean, Renault have definitely worked something out over the off-season, and with the fastest lap to boot.
4/10. But still, well defended by Thompson. Gasho had to bail out a little bit there. It didn't quite make sense, but he's still pointing in the right direction at least.
But here he is, he's got momentum. He's got a run on Thompson here. He'll probably pull to the inside right here. Want to get him in the braking zone for the next corner. I think this is going to be a hook, line, sinker, done and dusted move. There he goes. Bit of tyre squeal, but there he is.
Thompson.
Gasho is now on the podium.
Renault's headquarters last season, obviously the message has been put through loud and clear back to HQ that this is what they're here for, not to be tootling around at the back. Aiello up to 7th in that as well. But what a dive bomb from Thompson, almost taking out Gasho.
Thompson, unfortunately, is getting quite accustomed to being just off the podium. Oh, bit of a wiggle from the Renault, but he keeps it in front of the Honda.
Thankfully, I think this is preventing Gasho from being even further up the field. These moments of instability, just like there, but taking...
That was a late lunge, and it somehow paid off.
That move didn't look to be on, but
no,
I'm not one of the...
That was a little bit if-gap car, but it's worked. Schneider saw him at the last second and gave him just enough room on the curb to avoid an accident.
Gasho got 4/10 out of the last lap. What's he got out of the... Okay, 4/10 on
traffic.
I think the mistake, yeah.
But the terrifying thing is, he's already on the back of Whitman. He is wasting no time making his mark known on this race. And Whitman's just pulled away a little bit through here, but we'll see what he can do down the next straight here.
What Gasho can do.
God, look at that speed difference. You can see him reeling in the Alfa Romeo in front. Oh, that's a dive! That's into the back of the car in front. That's
Someone's
going to
have to have a word. That's 2 in a row now. Half a lap away from the previous one. Thompson ahead of Schneider now.
That is a lead change though. He stayed committed.
Gasho being very brave through the infield here.
Yeah, they've definitely worked something out with that Renault. Or it's being very nice to this new compound of tyre that Goodyear have brought, and the two are working in tandem together.
Through the duck's beak.
And here's Aiello on the back of the leading pack of cars now. Is he going to also barge his way through these cars like Gasho just did? Because if he does, it wouldn't surprise me if we see a Renault 1-2 here, which is kind of crazy to say given their performance last year.
And that looks very likely to be on if that's a traffic jam in front of him. The second to sixth is all there for the taking. Anything Gasho can do, Aiello can do better or not so
Webber
equally
blocked
as.
him there, ruined his momentum. He's still got
3 seconds off.
a speed difference. Ooh, no, he avoided contact. Very good.
Aiello trumping that fastest lap from Gasho a while ago. Previous lap.
Yeah, by 2 seconds almost.
Yeah, this new tyre. I mean, it's going to be quick to assume this new tyre has meant that Gasho is already gone, and almost, there would have been no sight of no car between Gasho and second through this section of track. I don't think Wittmann's going to get a glimpse
corner in
of
front
that.
at this point.
You can say hello again.
Yeah, whatever they've done to these Megans over the off-season, it's certainly working so far. I mean, we saw them have race wins and go quickly last year, but it was just there was too many races where they didn't go quickly and they were at the back, out the points, in last place in a few times, which just ruined their championship chances, which is why they now have cars 11 and 12 on the doors.
And fairly clearly making up for it, or making sure that Renault don't do what Toyota did. And I'm surprised that obviously they're making the effort and getting the results here. Webber still being very defensive there.
Webber's doing a good job making that M4 a very, very wide boy. And at the moment, this is unfortunately all he needs to do. Never mind. There goes Aiello down the inside. Webber keeping it very tight, not giving him any room to maneuver. But Aiello is still going to make the pass. He's now on the inside line. Yeah, there we go. Aiello through.
And up to sixth.
A very good defensive job from Webber there, but ultimately it was not to be. Now, can Fisichella hold him off for any amount of time, or is Aiello just going to barge his way past?
That would have been a definite deliberate barge. Wouldn't have been a good look for either of them.
No.
Interlagos. Thompson now ahead of Wittmann.
Yeah, we missed that somewhere.
The rear-wheel drive advantage quite clearly just for the starts and the starts alone now. Especially if we're going to see this happening at every venue.
Well, bearing in mind, Interlagos is one of the few places that's quite balanced between the front-wheel drive and the rear-wheel drive. It's not like Deep Forest, which always has a preference for rear-wheel drive cars, and the Red Bull Ring that has a preference for front-wheel drive cars. We've always seen a much more balanced mix of the two around this track.
Hopefully we see a bit more
excitement
like this when we get to
back of the Alpha.
Gasho's about to cross the line again as the remaining runners in the top 5. Gasho managed to get a 10th or 1500ths off of Aiello's time.
Yeah. Wow, these Renaults are really making a statement here. Aiello just completely filling the mirrors of Fisichella in front, being as intimidating as he dare. Making his intentions very, very clear that he wants past. He wants up with his teammate. And there he goes, down the inside.
Up to 4th, just up to 5th, just like that.
Yeah. That definitely seems to be the corner where the Renault can really make advantage. I wonder, I don't know what they've done, but one would guess they've upgraded their brakes, because they seem to be able to outbrake all the rear-wheel drive cars. And we know that historically the BMW has been the the master at braking zones. But if Renault can now outbrake BMW, then that's definitely something.
And that's definitely something that BMW have to be worried about. Even if they are in the top 5, top 7, I suppose they wouldn't be vociferous about it unless BMW were like they were at the start of season 2. Aiello down the inside on the exit
making
of
himself space on Schneider, just as Gasho did on Sophia a few laps ago. Once again, she is smart enough to give him just enough room, but she has lost the position because of it. Aiello now up to 4th. How long is it going to take him before he's on the back of Whitman and knocking on the door of a podium?
Nicky Lammer's in 8th, now being, well, I was going to say a cork in the bottle, but I think he's only holding up 1. There we go. Ingram up to, well, was already up to 8th.
Ingram's got himself into the top 10, which is good for Volvo. That's some points at least, even if Ekstrom's struggling at the back there. Lammers takes him back though.
Whoa, Polo.
I did warn you. Meanwhile,
we saw that through a practice and qualifying, the trail braking. It's built into their driver knowledge. It's like muscle memory. They can't.
Oh yes, it's complete autopilot that they're having to unlearn at this point, and then the race engineers are scrabbling around, scratching their heads, trying to reset the car up so they can mitigate that autopilot as much as possible and allow the drivers to brake where they want to brake and where they're used to braking without having the back end come round on them. Aiello taking a very different line to Whitman there, using all of the track. I don't know whether that's just Whitman's regular racing line or she's just being defensive, which she probably should at this point.
Whitman did defend well. There was a potential overlap on the cars, a switch around. Very well defended into Junção, but the power of that Renault, it could be side by side before the pit entry.
Very well could. It just depends which side Aiello picks to try and overtake and what Whitman does for it. See, Aiello just had to tap on the brakes there just to stop himself going into the back of the Alfa in front, and that's kind of killed his momentum, but he is close enough. He might try a dive. Not this time.
So close on the inside, he was almost aiming for the pits there, but obviously don't want to do that with this far to go. Only
4 laps left.
3.5 to go for the leader.
Yeah, Gasho is now almost a whole straight in front of second place, so he is definitely winning this race unless that Renault decides to brake at the last minute. And there goes Aiello.
And not wide enough to lose it either. Thompson up next from a Renault 1-2, which I don't think we've ever really seen that outside of Renault Clio Cup, but for obvious reasons.
Yeah, Renault 1 makes a side. I think you'll probably have to go back to the 90s with the Laguna. Though it is currently a front-wheel drive podium at the minute, so Thompson holding his own well in the Honda, but doesn't well. Maybe Thompson thought discretion's the better part of valor there and just let Aiello through by the looks of things, or Aiello completely surprised him. Not sure there. Either way, Aiello wasting no time getting around the Honda, and it is now a Renault 1-2.
And no change further back. Fisichella still 6th, Webber. The front wheel drive collective are still there or thereabouts. Ingram is closing in. Good sight for Volvo, good news for Volvo. Ahead of some, well, they're no regular names as you see there, Ford and Volkswagen. Rydell, Privateer. Ekstrom making up for a back of the grid start. He's got one solitary point so far, and enough time to get more.
It depends on how chancy he feels on Suarez in front of him.
And he was only 3/10 off Gasho's fastest lap just on the previous lap. Let's see what happens this time, by.
Slightly slower. Ooh, there's that back end coming out on Suarez.
Doing their best to prevent it from happening. Obviously, Volkswagen found something, but it's obviously not enough.
Yeah, they're all just fighting the car in those heavy braking zones.
And whilst that's happening, we neglected to see Duma, who got into the top 8 and just decided to fall all the way back. I'm feeling,
I'm
if
wondering
we
if he
look back
got
at the
freight trained a
archive,
couple of. Oh, well, that
we got
might have
freight
something
train
to
just
do with
then,
it.
Wickens, and then you got Kobayashi behind Wickens. That was Henri Bianchi, by the way, the European Super Touring driver last season, replacing Kamish, who's gone in the other direction, the Mazda in Euros.
Yeah, I believe he signed on to this contract with this team. Oh, that was a bit of a rallycross
Because he's a
entry.
Renault Works Euro
Just to
driver.
learn the World Supers and how it differs to the Euro Series. Obviously, he's still racing for Renault in the Euros this year, as is
Boy, would he
Kubica
love to
racing for
have that
BMW.
Renault right now.
Well,
I think I'll put it out there, I think Bianchi would have run this race if he was in the exact same car as those two up front, but obviously they've got a
potentially.
contract. They can't budge.
Yeah, and those two Renault contracts are some of the most cast iron solid ones in the sport. Seeing as Gasho and Aiello have been factory Renault drivers since early 2000s, they've been there for well over 10 years at this point, racing Renaults in various guises in various championships.
It was considered a HQ. I think Ayalo did have a word with them. They were trying to find wiggle room there, but they couldn't. And thankfully, they've saved all their money in exit fees by keeping those two on, because it's looking very good for those two right now. Not looking good for the two Fords or that Volkswagen in 12th.
Guys, this isn't Formula D. You don't need to tandem drift through the corners.
I'm surprised they could do that with front wheel drive.
Well, as I said, it's all under braking, isn't it? It's just the back end getting super loose and super light on them. So whether it's a weight transference issue that will change it, or mucking around with the camber and the toe at the back, not sure. But they're going to have to rethink the setups on these cars, because this isn't. I mean, they're in the points, but this is not where any of them want to be.
It looks good, but
more tandem drifting.
For choreography, yes, but it's not dancing. This is racing. There's a saying.
Yeah.
There's a saying in there somewhere, but. And whilst that's happening...
Although if you say it loud enough, the Olympics might try an overlap.
Fingers crossed they do. We're down to 19 unless... I mean, I'm pretty sure that Kubica BMW is just pootling around just to get the prize money in.
Yeah, I did say it's a new team and they've got a lot to learn. And this is evident, the learning curve, because they are not keeping up, and Kubica's going to end up very frustrated after this, because this is not what he wanted or expected, especially after his domination of the Euro Series last year.
So whilst he's about to complete the penultimate lap, Gasho is about, well, not that far away from him, and thankfully he's not going to get lapped. That's going to be his blushes spared. Yeah. The Renaults are now within sight of each other. I don't think Aiello's going to get close enough for it to be a photo. Well, even if it was like a presentation photo finish, as opposed to a competition photo finish. Thompson and Wittmann still battling over. Well, I'll say there's a battle, and that's a gap as well.
Thompson's fairly comfortable, and I think he's got that third place settled. Wittmann, fourth from pole, not really what she will have wanted, but given her performance around here last year, that's a huge improvement, and she can't really complain on that.
And whilst we should really look at the leader crossing the line, here's Ingram closing in on that bulk. This was a bit of a shock. Yes, it would be a surprise, and a good surprise to have for Renault winning, but a 1-2 after all that happened last season, fair enough. Thompson in a good position for points, and then Wittmann, but I think what we should look at now is the swarm for 5th, because Ingram is closing in on 7th. Schneider and Fisichella, there goes Ingram, but not enough. Volvo would be very happy with that display, especially if Ekstrom, there we go, not last points paying position as well. Felix Right, they'll be very happy with that. And your privateer regulars across the line to complete that. But smiling French faces down in the pits, smiling Belgian as well. And yeah, kind of hard to say, hard to respond to that. We were like, huh, really? But yeah, this is say a good start to season 4 nonetheless. Um, we we were expecting a lot worse. We were expecting, the tires not to last. Thankfully, they did, but it was just down to handling characteristics. Then, as you clearly saw with 3 to go, that how much work the drivers had to put in there. Swinny, your thoughts?
Well, enter the Renault, I suppose. I don't think anybody saw that one coming. They didn't really show off their hand in preseason testing or anything. It'll be interesting to see what they do, of course, now that they're going to start 9th and 10th. Though they've already come from, what, 8th and 11th on the grid to get a 1-2. So
We're
we could
expecting that to
see
happen
them
again
do
then,
the double, because if they were able to get through the traffic easily last time, I don't see why they won't do it for race 2, which is kind of terrifying to say.
and that we'll have to wait for. So we'll see you then for race 2. Good racing, everyone.